What's going on, guys? This is Mr. DeLORIan here. Welcome back to a brand new video, and welcome to my review and discussion video for 10/14 of The Walking Dead, titled Look at the Flowers. Now, I honestly thought I'd not like this episode. Like hell, 4 minutes before the episode started, I forgot it was Sunday, and that literally never happens for me. I heard so much about this episode being filler, and I honestly was very scared for it, but after watching it, I actually really liked it. There was tons of moments to like about it, but, let's get into that. So, like usual, review first, discussion second, but let's begin. The acting was on point, from pretty much everyone or anything. The standouts being Norman Reedus, Josh McDermott, Samantha Moore, Melissa McBride, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, Carrie Payne, Ryan Hurst, the actresses who play Yumiko and Magna. All of them gave really good performances and everything in emotional moments and intense moments and in pretty good comedic moments. Special effects and makeup, good as always and everything. Alpha's head looked really well done and just looked really cool and good and everything. I actually thought it looked very it pretty much stunning and everything. I actually thought it looked really good. Tons of great moments and everything, which we'll dive more into during the discussion. The music, like usual, was standard Walking Dead music and everything. Not awful, just kind of nothing really different, just standards. It was pretty good. The camera work was pretty good and everything. Standard. Definitely some good and defining angles and everything, and some shots that I liked and everything. There were some good shots that actually defined power, who was under and who was above in the situation. But that was really my review and everything. Now into the discussion. I thought the opening scene was all right in my opinion. I don't really feel we needed this scene, if I'm being perfectly honest. The only thing we got out of this scene was the deal that Negan and Carol made. It was cool, I guess. The scene between Carol and Negan at the Pikes it kind of more so annoyed me, mainly because Carol was so stubborn or anything. It was funny near the end of it and everything when Carol was like, oh, I guess it takes time and everything, but when Carol was not holding up her end of the deal and everything and said, you're free, Negan, I was like, oh shit, this is gonna suck, because this show just can't set Negan free. He's a character now. He's unlike his comic counterpart where he can just go, go away and everything. He has fans and everything, and I'm definitely one of them, and I just think he should not leave and everything, and I would love to see him stick around, actually, a lot longer than the comics. I'd like to see him stick around to the end. When Eugene told everyone about the meeting and everything and about Stephanie, I thought the moment was awesome and an emotional, moment and everything because of Josh's, performance. But one thing really rubbed me the wrong way in this scene. When everyone started bitching and whining, I wanted to bomb the fucking cabin. I understand there needed to be conflict, and obviously there was reasons to be worried and everything, but at the end of the day and everything, it was not that bad. It annoyed me a little bit and everything, but it was a good moment and everything, especially with Josh, McDermott's performance and everything. Really good performance. The moment between Magma and Yumiko or whatever, Magna, I keep saying her name wrong, I think, actually was the first moment between them that I actually really liked this season. In season 9 they had some pretty good scenes and everything, but season 10 started going a really big fucking downslope. Usually their serious moments are pretty blah and everything, but this moment was really good and I personally loved it. The moment between Jerry and Ezekiel was very nice and emotional. I really liked their conversation while missing each other and everything, and just meeting new friends. It was very uplifting. Obviously a little sad that the two characters were splitting out for a while and everything, but it was nice. Beta's reaction to dead Alpha was pretty good and creepy. I was kind of hoping for the flip out and everything from the comics, but this was good too, especially how that one whisper Rufus mentioned Negan and everything, and how Beta's the new Alpha and how silent it got and everything until Beta asked him what he said. Also, when Beta forced the guy to get his ear bit and everything, or his face bit, that was really fucking creepy and everything, especially how he kind of smiled a little bit. I noticed that, it looked like he smiled. I know also that one whisper that who ran everything is being kind of memed, I guess, in the Walking Dead community, but I thought him running was actually pretty cool. Yeah, it was a little funny, but I thought it was actually really cool, to show that there are whispers who are really fucking scared of him. Also, how Beta cradled Alpha's head was a bit funny and everything, and definitely a bit creepy and cool. Daryl and Negan meeting up again was pretty cool. Their first, scene together does not outweigh their, other scenes in this episode or anything, but it was cool to have, Negan mention, what he did. I mean, him explaining his entire plan was a little odd, but it was cool. He explained his plan so, he just sat there and just went, pretty much out, outweighed his entire plan or anything, or out as it, it was just it was a little weird, I think, but it was still cool. Also, how he mentioned Daryl or Carol as his girlfriend was cool, and it obviously got a bit of a reaction from the fans, which I thought was cool or anything. I don't really care if they get into a relationship. I just like them to at least remain friends and alive. The Carol and Alpha scenes, I might as well go through all of them now and everything, since there's not much to talk about, which does not mean they're bad. But after that first scene with Carol and everything, I wasn't too fond with her, but all the scenes between her and Alpha Alpha, like, you know, after that scene, I think with the Pikes were outstanding and very interesting. Seeing these two characters talk was very cool, especially, like, you know, the callbacks to old characters like Lizzie, Mika, and Sophia, and the small Easter eggs about, like, you know, the I'm sorry scene. I thought that was personally very cool and everything, because this show really doesn't rely too much on callbacks and, like, you know, old nostalgia, which I do like a lot and everything, but when they do go back, it is very cool, and that's what I liked so much about these scenes. It was all just very, like, you know, well acted and stuff. But when Alpha started to yell at Carol and everything and that building collapsed, like, obviously I knew Carol would not die and everything. I love the show to death and everything, but I'm aware of what plot armor is in the show, and it's been used a lot. But I thought all of that was and everything was very cool. Alpha taunting Carol while the walker was approaching was cool. The look at the flowers moment felt a little shoved in, but it was still cool. Like, it wasn't like, you know, wow and everything, but it was, you know, I guess it was a cool callback. Then obviously Carol made it out and everything, got rid of Alpha, you know, in her head, and like she made it back to Alexandria, which was all pretty cool. Beta's whole separate plot in the town was pretty cool, seeing all of, like, you know, the pointers towards his backstory and stuff like that. Seeing him flipping out, ripping off, like, you know, the papers and smashing his guitars in rage was actually fucking awesome and kind of scary, mainly because he's such a towering dude. Like, what is Ryan Hurst, like 7 fucking like 2? The whole conversation on the road between Eugene, Yumiko, and Ezekiel was pretty cool and actually really funny, because, like, you know, just some old stuff and, like, you know, some backstory on Eugene, I guess. If you mention chocolate bunnies, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. I might as well cover the rest of Daryl and Negan's plot and everything just in this one little, like, kind of segment. Them walking through the woods and talking about the hilltop battle is extremely interesting and kind of, I don't want to say funny, but it was definitely interesting. Now the big moment, them arriving at the Pikes. Now when they arrived at the Pikes and anything, and Daryl pointed his bow at Negan, their conversation was actually kind of funny, but extremely entertaining also, with how everyone thought Negan took too long, and how he's like, what's with you guys thinking I took too long and everything, because for some reason it felt very funny, because he was getting annoyed at that point, but, you know, it was really funny. But when those whispers emerged and they put their, like, you know, they announced Negan as their new alpha and everything, and that was awesome, especially that one whisper who was like, you know, it's your, like, you killed her and everything, and, like, you know, he is the new alpha. But when Negan got, like, very badass with a shotgun, especially, like, the moment before he got the shotgun, where he was like, I feel like I should be holding the badass shotgun, which all of that was, like, you know, awesome, by the way, and everything, because of, like, you know, Jeffrey D. Morgan's and everything, amazing performance, and just the way of Negan, and got Daryl on his knees and everything, and Negan gave that amazing speech, and Daryl said, you should probably shoot me, which was fucking an awesome moment, by the way. I really did like that moment, because he, like, looked up at him and everything, was like, you should probably shoot me or anything, and Negan was like, don't threaten me with a good time, and Sean killed all the whispers. It was awesome and everything. I genuinely loved that scene. It was something that made my mouth drop, and it was just awesome. But yeah, all perfect and anything, especially with Daryl's hilarious, like, line of, like, you know, untie me asshole, just all amazing. The last conversation was really good and everything. It was nice, and oddly enough, I genuinely enjoyed it. Also, Negan followed Daryl, meaning most likely Negan is back at Alexandria, so fuck yeah, at least he's not set free and everything. Beta starting that record and going, like, you know, among the crowd, like, you know, in front of all the not whispers, but all the walkers and everything was really cool. But it felt kind of weird too, because we actually got to see Beta kind of cry a little bit. Like, he looked like he was actually gonna break down, and that was very interesting for his character, since he seems like a lot of just an angry hard ass the entire time, but to see actual emotion come out of him was very interesting, actually. His final moments with Walker Alpha was pretty interesting, especially how, like, you know, he got to, like, you know, stabbed and everything and go thank you, and that ending of, like, you know, at least his plot, at least. When he went downstairs, opened the door and I think as the horns started leading them, and we got to see how now half of his face and everything, or his mask, is Alpha's face and everything, which is really fucking badass. Now the last and final kind of, like, you know, plot point of the episode, last and final part to cover. Ezekiel, Yumiko, and Eugene entering Pittsburgh and seeing all those walkers operating like normal, like, you know, the arrested and, like, you know, police walker and everything, and the ones in the diner. I thought that was all very funny and cool, because there's something very unique and just odd, especially Ezekiel's reaction, which, like, he just bursted out laughing, which I thought was, like, hilarious, and it was really nice to see something just, like, you know, someone just having a good time on the show. But when they all walked down that alley and everything, we all heard that, well, like, you know, that can and everything, and then we saw her, the princess. She said hi and everything, and all the reactions were, like, to this brightly dressed woman with a fucking LMG and everything. It was all fucking hilarious and just awesome in my opinion. Like, imagine seeing just this brightly dressed person with an LMG, like, holy shit. And everyone would be scared, and just by the way she acted, pretty fucking concerned. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention anything. The moment Ezekiel had to put down his horse, and the conversation with Yumiko and, like, Eugene and everything was actually sad, emotional, and a little triumphant for the group. But that was the end of my review and discussion. Like I mentioned earlier, I really thought I would not like this episode, but I ended up really liking it a lot. Tons of great moments, a great introduction for the princess character, and just a very good episode in general. I'm very excited for 10-15 and everything. Obviously 10-16 is gonna be delayed, but you know, 10-15's trailer does look awesome. Lots of sneak peeks and everything, stuff that I'm gonna break down this week and everything, and yep. That was my review and discussion video for 10-14. Look at the flowers. Make sure to comment down below what you guys thought of the episode and what do you guys think of my opinion. What was your favorite moment of the episode? What did you guys think of it? And yep, make sure to like, comment, subscribe for more of the latest Walking Dead content, reviews, breakdowns, and shit like that and everything. And yep, I'll see you guys later. Peace, my amigos, and peace out.